Welcome to another edition of my Deuze vlog. My name is Mark Deuze. I'm a professor of media studies at the University of Amsterdam. And I do research on what makes creative careers possible. Specifically, this series of vlogs and podcasts and recordings and interviews and conversations is about the role of mental health, well-being, social safety, happiness in creative careers across a variety of media professions as well as the performing arts. And today, in my series of conversations, I'm sitting down with Rosan Boersma and Anna de Beus, two Dutch filmmakers, both with an impressive career of supporting and making and producing films, documentary films, since the last 10 to 20 years, working in production design, in facilitating filmmakers, in getting creatives and screenwriters and other people in the industry together in a series of collectives, and also teaching at the Dutch National Film Academy. Anna graduated from that film academy back in 2002, been working in film and television since, founded the Backbone Film Collective in 2015 for screenwriters and directors. And she's also a life coach at the Dutch Film Academy. And Rosan Boersma, her colleague, both founded last year in 2024 the Film and Mental Health Collective Cinemind, an organization intended to promote and support people in the film, in the screen industry when it comes to mental health and well-being. She's produced films for the last 20 years that included films such as Forget Me Not, Accommodation, Strike a Pose, also a teacher at the Dutch Film Academy, and also founded an organization to care for and support people dealing with a cancer diagnosis. Their organization, Cinemind, is about helping people with the challenges that come with working in a creative sector like film. They organize events. They have a van that they park outside of venues where people can have one-on-one conversations about their issues or struggles or experiences in the industry, organizing workshops around, for example, personal leadership, and rolling out a series of initiatives and a platform online to talk about all of these things. I hope you enjoy our conversation and all the other conversations in this series, both with colleagues in film and television, in games, in music, and in all the other industries that this series is focusing on. Please like us, follow, subscribe, check out our work. It's available on Substack, on YouTube, Spotify, and a whole bunch of other places, LinkedIn as well. And hope to see you around soon. Dear Anna and Rosan, thank you so much for joining me today. You are spearheading a still brand new, in a way, initiative launched last year, Cinemind. You launched it at the Dutch National Film Festival, and intended to start a program to raise awareness around mental health, personal growth in film and television. And can we start off by maybe both of you sharing a little bit of what brought you to launching a specific organization for this? Because in different ways, both of you were already active in this field, but what turned that into an actual, an organization with a website and a program and a formal launch? Can you share a little bit about that history?
Sure. Who's going to
You
kick it off?
will follow up.
Okay. So my background in the Dutch film sector is that I started working as a art department person I did that about, let's say, 8 to 9 years, and I worked on various roles in the art department. And it basically, put me in contact with mental health firsthand,
Mm.
because working in the art department is crazy. Back in the days, I think things have improved a little, but back in the days it was harsh. And I had this big dream of becoming a production designer. And when I was driving in minivans over and over again, I thought, where did which road did I take, which didn't lead me to the production design dream.
Mm.
And I did some producing for a couple of years for a corporate producer. Then that led me to a talent agency, which I founded. And that was like the first hint where I felt, oh, I'm in contact with people who are making films. That's a much better role for me, to be a guide and an agent to these people. But I have dyscalculia, so numbers are not my biggest forte. And the contract checking wasn't also really my heart wasn't really in there. So then I started to do trainings to be a real counselor and guide to people in the creative sector, and that turned out to be where I am right now. And on that path, I met Rosan, and we decided to team up,
Yeah,
and that's where
Cinemind.
you come in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Cinemind didn't really came out of a strategic plan or something. Oh, the light goes out here.
I think we're locked in this building right now.
Yeah.
We'll never be.
Is it okay, or do I need to turn on the lights?
It's
No.
totally fine. It's a
Um,
fitting metaphor. Yeah.
yes, exactly. The light goes out now.
Yep.
But Cinemind didn't really came from a strategic plan. We both work at the Film Academy in Amsterdam, and we discussed about what was going on at the Film Academy when it comes to mental health and what we see and hear from the students, and also from our own experiences in the field. And we thought, what's going on here at the Academy? We also know that it's in the field, in the working field. And we talked more and more about this and thought, nobody's paying attention to this. We have a lot of organizations for the environmental issues and a lot of things going on, but not about mental health. And we also know now why. We understand, because there's still a bit of a taboo on it, even though there's a lot of research been done. But we decided, like, okay, should we do something? And it's also because we already were working on some workshops and trainings for specific organizations, just Anna and Rosan as private persons. And this is how we got together and thought, if we really want to change something, or we really want to support mental well-being in the film industry, we need to team up and start Cinemind. And that's how it grew out of where we are now.
And this what you've noticed in your own career of working in the field, like you said, you're both teaching at the National Film Academy, so you see stuff happening there. I'm guessing amid students who work together on crews and trying to make films. It's one thing to note, as you say, that mental health is still relatively underappreciated or taboo or even surrounded by stigma, but is there anything specific to mental health that you've observed or picked up from your years in the field? Like that's the real key to mental health becoming a problem, maybe while making a film or making a television show?
Yeah, I think the what I also mentioned earlier, it's about a dream that you have
Ah,
when
yeah.
you start uh, living out that dream. Or because for me, it started when I was 12. I thought I just have to, I love films. For me, it was a real goal to
Mm,
eventually become a filmmaker myself. So the pressure rises when you start to get closer to the big dream. So for a lot of students, that happens when they get enrolled into the film school because you have to do like an exam to get in. There's only a place for so many people. So then also the competition rises, and dreams and competition, I don't know, they seem to do something to the well-being of human beings.
Mm.
So that's what, for myself, that's what started happening within myself, and what I see with a lot of students and people who are in the field.
Rosan, is that similar to things that you've observed? I mean, and this is yeah, I mean, a powerful narrative when it comes to creative work, right? I mean, the how do you balance the passion and the love, like Anna, what you said, and your dream of making films or being a journalist or telling these beautiful stories with the sometimes harsh reality of an industry that you become part of that can be competitive and very uncertain. I mean, is that at the heart of what you've observed as well, or are there other issues at play?
No, it's absolute. It's one of them. I think it's actually a lot, and I think that's why it also makes it so difficult to change things, even if it's small steps, because it's that. But it's also how do we communicate with each other?
Mm.
Can I be vulnerable about how I feel, or if I have anxiety, or when I doubt about the choices I've made, or can I go to a supervisor or an assistant or a colleague to say, hey, I need to fix this, but I'm not able to, or I don't know how to. Can you help me? There's in many offices no space, no time to sit really together and to discuss how is it really going. And I don't mean really as how is your private life, but how do you feel in the job you do? If I would say I'm overwhelmed with all the work, I'm afraid to say it because they probably say, yeah, but this is just your job. So how much space is there to really understand each other and to really listen to each other? That's not what they have at the film academy, and that's not what's in the field.
And that also has to do with the I don't know how to pronounce this word,
Hierarchy, yeah, perfect.
yeah, but the hierarchical system. So film making goes hand in hand with this hierarchy.
Hmm.
And I think that's what you are aiming at. This hierarchy seems to be very leading, and also the story which we are telling as filmmakers is like the boss of us. So we do everything to make it happen, to
Right.
be a part of that hierarchy, but also to make the film happen. And
Mhm.
that's where people start crossing their boundaries systematically, and it becomes a pattern. And then you have the saying, oh, that person isn't fit to be in this business because you have to be able to handle stress and all kinds of you know, things that are, yeah, just crossing boundaries all the time.
Is this, like you said, you have to be able to handle quite a lot on top of beyond just being a professional. Is this, I'm just guessing here, but is this part of the reason why you called the collective that you founded the Backbone Film Collective? Like you have to have a backbone? Is that a,
No,
is that
no.
the,
Well, I think that what relates us as makers in the film sector is that we are all people that do have a backbone because, we have this foundation. We really want to do that one thing, make films.
right?
But what my vision was to create a collective environment where we would support each other's backbones so that we would become one,
Right.
uh, yeah, a group of people who would stand up for each other. And that would mean socially in the context of when you become ill, and like we call that a broodfonds in the Netherlands, that you have like a social system where you take care of each other when someone gets sick, but
Mhm.
also thinking and speaking together about one's career, how you could really support each other instead of compete with each other.
Hmm. Rosanne, I mean, your path to Cinemind is, of course, a path partly forged in the industry, making all kinds of films, teaching, but you also have you started an organization Rosans to support people during and after a cancer diagnosis. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that road and maybe how those two ways of supporting people maybe have shaped or influenced each other?
Yeah, of course. I actually, when I was still working in film, mostly in documentary field, in production as a producer, in the end, because I did all kinds of jobs before to get there, I got sick, heavily sick, got leukemia in 2015, and so sick that everything stopped. I couldn't do anything anymore. And I remember very well that I was sitting at my house or my apartment in Amsterdam. My parents and my family and my most close friends were taking care of me because I couldn't do anything. And I was looking around, sitting on the bed, and I thought, what happened in my life that my identity was fully wrapped in work?
Okay.
And those people who are now here for me, I wouldn't say I neglected them, but there were a lot of parties, celebrations that I canceled because work was always there. And that hit me. It scared me a bit. I thought, what happened? What choices did I make? And but when I got in a bit of a recovery period the first time, I went back into film, but very slowly, and I got sick again. So there was not so much time to recover. And the second time, I thought, okay, I cannot do this work in the field anymore. I don't want to be a documentary producer anymore. And I thought, what should I do? And I thought I can take a step back. So I can do maybe post-production, or I'm going to do some financing for some companies or whatsoever. It might be all easier and healthier. And that wasn't true at all. So what I actually realized is that whether you're a producer or an assistant, or you work in post-production, or you have a company, or you're an assistant set dresser or whatsoever, we all face the same issues, but we don't talk about it. And yeah, it's about the huge responsibility everybody feels, whether you're a leader of a big production house or when you're just the assistant on set. That, and I say just, but when you are the assistant on set. And while my recovery from the second time of cancer was going on, I thought I was asked by my doctors to be involved in the hospital a bit about how I recovered and what my experiences were. And I also helped other people, and I loved that so much. And I thought, this is where I really do something. Can really mean something for somebody else. So I started studying again, coaching for cancer patients. And that's how actually I got asked again for the Film Academy to teach. I met Anna, and then I thought, this coaching in cancer is something my heart goes in. And now, but I love the film industry. I really love the industry. I love the people who are working there, because it's also a very nice field of people. How we work together in making films, it's insane. It's really insane. My parents come from a totally different background, and they still think, what are you doing there? How is it possible? So that's how actually the work I did for the cancer patients and also the teaching and film all came together with Cinemind.
And
yeah, and I had a
sorry, Anna,
similar, please. Yeah, I had a similar pivotal moment in my life as well. During the same time Rosan got ill, I found out that I have a breast cancer genome, and I had to take preventive action.
Wow.
So we didn't know each other then, but it's very beautiful to find out that we had the same questions inside of ourselves, because my identity was based on film as well, and I was willing to give everything and so much more instead of giving myself what I needed back then. And also you get so humbled when you are faced with life and death issues, that you start wondering what's really, really important. And for myself, it was also that I wanted to be of service to others instead of being the one that made films. I really wanted to be in contact with the story and with the stories of others. That's where we found each other.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing that. And it's both profound as well as shocking that these kinds of life events, yeah, exactly, remind us of the big questions, right? And we can lose ourselves in all kinds of creative endeavors and then never realizing, yeah, that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And so all that work and those personal experiences led to you founding Cinemind, launching it last year. I was really privileged to be part of that launch. And my memory of that launch was that the room was packed. People were responding quite emotionally to your story, to the launch of Cinemind, to what it represents. Can you share a little bit about that, about, what happened since and the kind of stuff that you've been doing with Cinemind and the responses you've been getting?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the event you were talking about was a first time event for us at the film festival as well. So it was our aim to get ourselves known into the work field of the Dutch film industry, and share what our thoughts about mental health in this specific sector is, but also, well, not also, but mainly to ask the audience, so what are your issues? What are your concerns? What is it that you are dealing with? And that became such an interesting discussion because, I mean, various themes started popping up about fair pay, about racism, about, well, Rosan, just fill me in because it was so much.
Financial insecurity, lack of autonomy at work, fear of job loss. It's all these kind of things were packed in an hour and all came up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that led us also to think about, okay, so these themes are our focuses now. How are we going to? Where are we going to start?
Yeah.
And that's what we are just been busy with for the last couple of months. And yeah, we are creating a platform right now where you can, as a film professional, go to and see what our services are, but also get in touch with others. But we're really in the process of creating that.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I remember from that launch, and I wonder what your take on this and what this says about the state of mental health in film and television or in screen work, was one of the people in the audience. Maybe my memory's wrong, but she was saying something like, hearing all of this, I realize I've been doing things wrong for the last 20 years. Like this sort of like aha moment, like, oh, this is actually really unhealthy, or like these things that I've taken for granted or the routines that I've been stuck in can actually be really problematic. Is that something that you encounter as well, as sort of like, because you give words to a certain problematic issue or a range of issues, as you say, people, that actually makes people, like, it's almost like they snap out of it. Is that a fair assessment of what you're experiencing?
I'm not, yeah, sometimes it happens, but it's also that we have a lot of people coming to us, like say, we really want to talk to you because we also think it's mental health is so important and I don't know what to do and I don't know how to improve it. And it's, we try our best, but there's money issues or, yeah, just productions who need different priorities, and that it's more that they are aware of it, but find difficulties to, yeah, to connect with how they can do it better. But we also face a group of people who say, oh yeah, it's there and there's research been done and results, but I don't think it counts for me. So we have a lot of different people responding to Cinemind.
I think that the aha moment is definitely there, but then, so, and then the follow-up is quite hard. because mental health is affecting all of us, because we are all walking heads and bodies. But are you willing to share something about yourself or about the difficulties that you have encountered? It seems to be scary.
Well, your mention of that it can be scary to really speak about this, especially, out in the open, and that it has a physical component, right? It's not just in our heads, but our bodies are very much involved. Um, I think it's just so lovely, this initiative that you took to park a van, like literally in front of a venue, and just say, hey, from this time to this time, we'll be here. We're going to have coffee and tea. Feel free to walk in. Like, it's a very physical way
Yeah.
of lowering the threshold. I mean, did you come up with that? And how is it working?
Yeah, well, we both are creators, so we like to still put our creativeness into the things that we want to offer. So
Mm.
I don't know, we just came up with the coach camper and thought, let's park it just in front of the main entrance of the film festival and put it out there. And we were packed. I
Oh,
mean, we
wow.
couldn't really, yeah, we couldn't almost handle the amounts of people who wanted to come by to talk. It was free. Also, it was funded by the film fund. So, I mean, that was a nice thing as well that we could offer back to the people in the industry. But the conversations were super interesting and shocking as well at the same time.
And shocking in terms of, because you, like you said, you kind of could predict or knew that there were a range of issues in the industry, or shocking the intensity that people brought to those conversation. Or would you mind talking a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the stories that people brought in about their experiences in film production, in collaborations, in within teams. We knew it, but when you hear all the stories in a small caravan or camper, it was,
Mm.
and you hear them the whole day, and you sum them up at the end of the day, you think, wow, this is just one day, and it's just a couple of conversations. It's maybe not even a percentage of the whole industry. Yeah, it surprised us in a negative way.
Mm.
So yeah, that was what was going on.
Yeah, and various themes again. The night before was the event, so the themes that came by during the coach conversations really linked into those themes. But also sexual power play was a big thing.
Mm.
And I found that shocking because, I mean, we've been hearing about Me Too for a few years now. And of course, things are changing. But we had several conversations about that specific theme. Yeah, it does so much to people.
One very specific initiative that you're developing is a workshop, or perhaps a series of workshops, shops around personal leadership. What exactly do you see the role of personal leadership in helping to address or helping people to cope with some of the health challenges in this industry?
Mostly, we started with this because personal leadership is really about who am I, what do I want, where are my vulnerabilities, what are the themes in my life, why do I do this, and why do I do this for so many years, what do I like about it, what I don't like about it, and how do I handle this? Do I feel strong enough to say no
Mm.
when it's a no for me? When I feel a no, can I say a no? Yeah, it's mainly about this, what's most important about personal leadership. So am I the director of my own life and my own role in the films?
Career.
Yeah, in my own. That's what it's really about. And we think it starts there. There's a lot of things you can address to what's wrong in the industry and what's good. And you can easily think it's the system, which plays a part of it, absolutely. But the question is, where does it change? and mostly it changed from the bottom up. If the people in the industry say a no to things that they would like to say no instead of the yes while they feel the no, some small changes might happen.
That's that's really powerful. I mean, I'm reminded of conversations I've had with colleagues in similar organizations such as yourself in music in the UK or in film and performing arts in the US. And what they were saying is that after a while they started offering services to people in the industry also around personal leadership, but specifically targeted at helping people to get out of the industry. And the reason for that, they say, was because what they were finding among their members and among people in the industry that they were talking to, and I'm asking this to see if you recognize these conversations, or if this resonates with you, is that for a lot of people, they stay in the industry too long because they love doing the work so much. But even when the work dries up and there's no new gig, there's no new shoot, there's no new contract, and then they start eating into their savings and basically just wear themselves thin, too thin, really, to, for example, still provide for their families or whatever, because they believe in the creative, in their role, in their profession so much, but they refuse or cannot see the reality of the industry, and that actually also can be an act of personal leadership. Does that resonate with what you're seeing,
Sure.
or is that a bit too extreme, perhaps?
No, I think it also comes back to our own pivotal experiences where we had to face our identity, because exactly what Rosan was saying about who am I without being a filmmaker. That's something that we hear all the time. So people are fed up with the crazy hours, with the low income, or the insecurities that they face, or that they cannot be with their children, for example, or whatever. But who am I if I would leave this business? I always encourage people to make their own choices. Of course, as a coach, I'm not your advisor. I will not say to you what path you have to go down. But most people they do want to think about it, but will not go down that path because they really have never thought about multiple paths or careers or ways that you can also be of service to this world or in the creative sector. But I know this because I've experienced it myself.
Mm.
And it's very, very difficult to say goodbye to a dream.
Mm.
And then I do think there's also another issue, and that's a loyalty to the industry for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and loyalty to the people you've met and the people you care about, and you see them struggling or, trying to make something beautiful, and you want to, yeah. Is it betrayal? Like, that you feel like you're betraying them and you say, you know what, I'm checking out, or
Yeah, I think for some people it's absolutely betrayal. It's
Mm.
and then it comes very close to, yeah, if your whole identity is film and these feelings come up, betrayal, loyalty, whatever is going on, it's very difficult for people to step out. And it's not our goal to say to people, step out of it, this is the easiest way. But it's like, for a start, if you're not working in film, who are you? Who are you as a person? It's much more than only your work. And then from that point, you can go forward again, move forward again. Like, is then the film business working in the film business something that you really know and you're good at? Or is it also something that makes you happy? Because those are two different things.
Mm.
Yeah, and working in the film for me was also a bit of a circus existence because I never knew what the next day would be like. And that's a little intoxicating, I think.
Well, I mean, let me ask you a question about that from one educator to fellow educators, because um, in my experience, when I try to tell my students at the University of Amsterdam, or before that when I was teaching in the US, this story about what working in the industry can be like, right? I love the term circus existence, the unpredictability, I mean, sometimes even not knowing whether you've done a good job or not. You just keep going, and I would tell them kind of like as a word of warning. It's like, know what you're getting yourself into. But what I find is that students, young students, newcomers, people between 18 and 24, when they hear that, they get excited.
Of course.
And so how do you, because a lot of what we're talking about are perhaps issues that are somewhat particular to people who've been in the field for a while and opening their eyes, either because they've had a personal experience or simply because of age and life phase and new commitments above and beyond the work, mortgage, family, kids, and so on. How do we tell this story to, what is your experience in, for example, teaching at the film academy? Can students hear this? Is something maybe changing? You've mentioned Me Too. I mean, what is our role as educators in this?
Educators.
Yeah.
Well, I think that there is a little bit of a difference from when I was a student and started working in the field. I mean, that's like a dinosaur age time ago. But because I wasn't really that aware of a lot of things, and I just went head first, and I thought, yes, adventure, let's go. But I do believe that people from that age right now are very aware of the struggles that life has to offer right now, because there is serious things going on. So there, and that also hurts me a little bit, because you really wish for people to go head first and, go find out life yourself, instead of, oh shit, I have a massive loan on my on my studies, or I will never be able to buy a house, or do I want to have children in this world right now? I
Mm.
never thought about these things when I was 20 or 21. So in that perspective, I think that they are more aware of what they are getting themselves into. So they do have bigger demands also. And I think that this generation is really going to change the creative industry,
Mm.
because it's just not that free anymore, maybe, and that might be a benefit. I don't know.
Yeah, I also think that what adds up is that we teach them to work together and to communicate with each other on a different level. We learn them skills that help them to have an open conversation. We tell them it's very important at the front of a production to sit together and to discuss what are our expectations. Why are we making this movie? Do we want to make it because it's a project for the Film Academy and we need to graduate it on it? Do we want to make the best movie? What's in it for everybody? So you have a bit of an understanding who is in it and for what reason. But also we learn them to reflect on what they have done in the last years. And I'm always very positive surprised by reading these reflections, because they really can already see, this happened, this was my part in it, this was what it did to me, and I would really like to change that, and this is how I want to do it. That's for a student
Yeah.
of 20 or 60.
And that's new, actually, also, because when we went to film school, we were not educated in communicative skills, communication skills. And now we have enrolled a whole program about personal development, where we think, personal development is equally important as focusing on becoming a good cinematographer, for example. I mean, so in the old days, we used to focus on the skill of becoming a filmmaker, and now we are also more focused on the skill of becoming a nice human being for yourself and to others.
Wow. Is there anything particular? And I mean, this is a horrible question. I apologize in advance, but the reason I wanted to ask about the specifically Dutch nature of your work and your initiative, in the sense that, I mean, to some extent, the screen industry, film, television, is a global industry in where, in terms of finances and distribution and, working for national film funds, but also for the Netflixes of this world and so on and so forth. Film festivals, of course, as a hugely important distribution mechanism that takes you across borders. And the issues that you're finding in the industry are possibly not particularly Dutch or American or anything. Or so, yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, understandably, you're focused on people working in the Netherlands and in the Dutch film and television. Um, do you find that there's anything particular about that approach, about what you've learned and what you can do and what you can talk about in the way you talk about it here at home in the Netherlands, or because you're looking, of course, at initiatives all over the world, do you see like, oh, they're doing it exactly the same or very differently? Is that something that you're very aware of?
Well, we talked we talked a lot with our colleagues abroad,
Mm-hmm.
all these organizations, film, TV, and charity, and Sane Cinema. And what we see is that many bigger countries, they have all unions and are very well organized.
Right.
And in the Netherlands, yeah, I call this always plakband industry. It's adhesive tape.
Yeah.
We just started somewhere and we did this and we did this and we grew a bit bigger and it all happened to us. And of course, we have also now an industry with film funds and rules and everything. But and there's also the Dutch cultural idea of let's do normal, let's behave normal.
Mm.
And that's what you sometimes get back. Couple of weeks ago, we were talking to a production company or a producer from a production company, and we talked about the Looking Glass results in the UK. And the first reaction was like, very important, but yeah, that's England, that's not us.
Ah.
But there's a truth in it. We didn't have these researches and results in the Netherlands yet, not for the film business. But it's also interesting to look at the Looking Glass results and to think, what does it mean for us?
Mm.
Yeah, and also on the level of communication, in Holland we have the polder model, which basically means that everybody gets a chip in the pie of making a agreement. Fill me in if you have other views about the polder model. But you also see this in terms of set work, and so Dutch people are quite good at making themselves heard, but we're not very good listeners. So I think that's also a Dutch cultural phenomenon, which we try to put our work in, so that we start to really listen. What is the other one saying? What do they need? Instead of, I think this is good for us. Like, we have to be really, in communication with each other.
And this phenomenon maybe and I really appreciate what you're saying. I mean, one thing that I've learned in doing the research on this is that the statistics in different countries tend not to be very different. The number of people saying that, they love their work, but they also struggle because of their work is almost the same everywhere. It's the majority in across different media professions. So there's really no reason to assume that wouldn't be the case here in the Netherlands. But the cultural context within which those concerns get expressed is hugely important. People talk differently about mental health in different cultures and different contexts. Gender, race, ethnicity, age, all plays a role, nationality as well. If you say that Dutch people are more perhaps used to speaking up and speaking together in the so-called polder model, and like just
Very directly also.
directly consensus driven, not much space for outliers and weirdness and people who are completely, off the charts one way or another. That has to be the meaningful context within which these conversations take place. So what is your experience in people feeling comfortable? Because that seems to be a thread towards our throughout our conversation today, that yes, while this may be the case, speaking out about health and well-being in the context of work still seems to be really problematic and difficult. And so that suggests there's a lot of, we've mentioned the word taboo, fear, stigma. Uh, do you see that as your primary goal to address that, to make it
Well,
easier for people to speak out about this?
I, of course, it's a goal. I think it's a hurdle for now,
Ah, yeah.
and that's what I mean by listening, because we are speaking up about this topic
Mm,
to everybody who wants to hear it. But are these people? They say, "Oh, yeah, it's very important. Yeah, yeah, so good that you are doing this work. Yeah, 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 great." But we are looking for people who are really willing to listen. What are the stories? What are the experiences? And not come with a solution, one, two, three, because it's about listening first and hearing all these different stories, and then we can talk and go towards a solution. But I think it's first to have important to first have these difficult conversations and feel the uncomfortableness that goes with that.
mm.
Really be willing to feel that it's really uncomfortable and things are really not that great.
Rosan, maybe in conclusion, your thoughts on moving forward with Cinemind, like creating that a culture of listening to each other. I'm hearing do you have specific goals in mind for
Well,
Cinemind?
I think the basis is to create space for having these conversations and to be able to listen, and also to be able to really want to understand the other. Whether it's a DOP or it's a producer or it's an assistant or it's the focus puller or whatsoever, to leave the boundaries out and to see, I am a person, you are a person, and I really want to understand what's going on with you or what's going through you, through your mind, to get this connection that you need to work together on a mental health way. What we would really like for Cinemind is to be more to let the coaching behind in the end, so it's not necessary anymore, but be on the prevention side.
Mm.
So when you start with a production, let's sit together, and instead of a big breakdown about all the details about every scene, if we did everything, also to sit together, like, how are we going to take care of each other in this project?
Mm.
What are the rules or the wishes for this project? And can we discuss it if we see somebody getting bullied or being insecure? Do we team up with each other? Can we make space for this whatsoever? And in the busyness of film production, that's mostly on the lowest part of the ladder. And we really want to make that more priority, as important.
And we have a really nice tool for that too.
Yeah, and that's why we want to start to this on the prevention side. So, and also for offices, because it's not only about film crews, it's also production offices, because a lot of things happen there as well. To be able to sit down together and have the time and the space, and not the phone on the side. And sorry, I need to pick up this conversation while you have a conversation. It's all these small things. And if we slowly, with the workshops and the training and the support we give, we can change small things. And there's definitely a very big group in the industry that's really willing to work with this as well, who's really open up to to change things. That would be the dream. That working in the film business is also you can feel safe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thanks so much for doing that. I mean, if there's one thing that I'm also finding in the research is about you saying feeling safe, right? Where people give all of themselves to the creative endeavor, but still don't feel like they belong, because in the way they're being treated, the way they're being addressed, shouted at or shouted down, or like no matter how much of your passion you bring, you don't feel like you're being taken seriously, or that your voice matters. That's a profound paradox, and so I really appreciate you doing that and sharing that. So thank you so much for doing this, for being part of this, and for doing the work.
Thank you.
And let's say to be continued.
Absolutely.
To
Thank
be
you.
continued.